Hello everybody and welcome to another week of the Frenzy Extra. I'm Andy Lacombe. We come to you this week once again from Fitton Field. It is the site of our game of the week on Saturday. Holy Cross hosting Bryant. The Crusaders looking for two in a row on Channel 3 and trying to get some momentum going in the college football ranks. More on that game with Coach in just a little bit, but we start in the high school ranks in a huge one this week between St. John's and Leominster. So we go over to Shrewsbury, talk to the Pioneers about this game and how it could affect the playoffs and how it could affect their team moving forward.
The biggest rivalry that we have is Leominster, and we just have to come full speed every time we play them.
Leominster is always one that we circle on our calendar. You know, they don't like us, we don't like them. So everyone here gets focused in practice this week, and when it comes to Friday, you know, we're going to focus and we're going to give them our best game.
Leominster's got some good athletes on their team. They're well coached, and it's going to be a great competition. It's going to be a game that everyone's going to want to see.
They're a really quick team. They do a lot of defensive stunts that sometimes gives trouble to O-linemen, but I think this week we're going to work on that and try to pick them up as well as we can.
Leominster, they're like a very multi-dimensional team. You know, they run a few different offenses. Their defense, they put in some different schemes against us, and you know, they just play hard ball. They won't take it soft on us. They're going to line up. They're going to hit you. So we're going to have to face their intensity and do our best game.
The intensity is unbelievable. It's nothing like it. You can't beat under the lights at Doyle Field. I hate to say it, but it's a great place to play. Just the energy every time we're there is ridiculous. So I look forward to it a lot on Friday.
We're really excited for what's ahead of us, and we're happy with how we clinched the playoff berth, and this week we're not taking anything off.
From St. John's to their friends, quote unquote, at Wachusett, the Mountaineers are getting ready for St. Peter Marion here in the last week of the regular season. Math is not my game, but there's still some stats to be done to see if there's a playoff possibility for Wachusett after they have a big win over Algonquin. The Mountaineers, either way, looking to close the regular season with a win against a rival.
We had a good game against them last year, and I think we just needed an overall good team effort and put the work in this week at practice. And I think we have a good chance. They're a good team. Obviously, they got a big line. They've got a very good running back, a good sophomore quarterback. But we put the work in, and I think we have a very good chance this week.
After 4 tough losses, we needed that win to build up our confidence again, and we hope to continue that Friday night.
We got our 3rd win against Algonquin, and that really got us hyped for this coming week. We need our 4th win. We still have a chance to make playoffs, so this 4th win is our next step.
That win against Algonquin was huge for us. Really gave us a nice confidence boost. We're a good team and we can't give up on ourselves. You know, we were really close to beating Leominster. It was 7-6, and you know, we just showed that we can play with anyone.
We know we're a very good team. We've had a couple very close losses to good teams, and we know that we could compete at that level. So it's just we need to win on Friday to give us a chance to go even further.
Key games on Friday night, the last week of the regular season in Central Mass, although some are already playing the playoffs out east. St. John's and Leominster, it will determine Division II seedings in the playoffs that start a week later. St. Peter Marion and Wachusett talked about that one. Should be a battle. Two teams maybe don't like each other. I don't know if Wachusett likes anybody. Leicester and Northbridge in Division 5. These two teams, depending on how it shakes out, could play each other again the following week in the playoffs. And then Shrewsbury and Algonquin, always a good battle between these two clubs. Nipmuc and Grafton will be very interesting as well as Nipmuc tries for a big win over a Division 4 power. These games plus Kevin Shea coming your way on the Frenzy on Friday night. Join us, won't you, at 10:25. Time now for a quick break. When we come back, we go in studio. Kevin Shea has Jim Wilson from Home Team Magazine and the Telegram and Gazette, and they break down the last week of the regular season.
Welcome back, everyone. Kevin Shea, joined with Jim Wilson, the high school sports editor for the Telegram and Gazette and Home Team Magazine, and we're back. I'm back after a 1-week hiatus.
I know.
Back to talk some football with you. Let's go over the 4 divisions, and right now the top 4 obviously make the playoffs. We have 1 week left in the regular season.
Crunch time.
So let's go. Who's in? Who's on the bubble? Who needs some help? You know, right now, where does it stand? Starting with Division 2.
Division 2, Neshoba's in, the number 1 seed. I don't think anything's going to change that. They have Clinton this weekend, win or lose. They're 25 points ahead of, say, St. John's, and so I think that's going to hold serve no matter what happens. The interesting game is St. John's Leominster, which is Friday night at Doyle, and it's going to be a great game because that's basically you're playing for a home playoff game next week. So these teams, if you like St. John's Leominster, you're going to see it twice in a row. Again, regardless of the outcome, this is the way the playoffs work, because 2 will play 3. So if Leominster wins, they jump St. John's
They're the
number
second
2.
seed.
The number 2 seed, they'll host them again next week in the playoffs.
And if St. John's wins, they hold on to the second seed, and they host Leominster.
Probably on Saturday.
In the playoffs, yeah, on a Saturday afternoon. So interesting with that game. Let's go to this game and break it down, and then we'll continue on with the things. But St. John's Leominster, it's at Doyle Field, so obviously the home field advantage goes to Leominster. Leominster coming off a big win. They shut out Shrewsbury. So, you get Leominster, obviously, everyone talks about the offense. Everyone talks about Dave Palazzi and what a great offensive mind he is, and he certainly is that. But let's credit their defense shutting out a very tough and game Shrewsbury team last week.
Exactly. Shrewsbury is one of those games that, the odds were against them, but they wanted to play for pride. They knew playing tough against Leominster would be good, do a good long way in their program as far as where they are. But Leominster, just especially coming off that loss of Neshoba, when the whole should you go for it, should you not go for it, play for the win, play for the tie. They rebounded pretty well. They got back on track, especially heading into a game like St. John's. They need all hands on deck.
And St. John's coming off a big win over Marlborough, and that was a game that St. John's won in the second half of that game. That was really tight first half. Marlborough had an edge, but St. John's wins that game in the second half. And so they're coming off a win as well, but against a very physical team and a hard-fought one.
Marlborough's a good team. I mean, Marlborough's right now, they're in the 4th seed of the playoffs. They could meet again in a couple weeks, too, if things happen. So I think, like you said, coming together and realizing what wasn't working in the first half, righting the ship, really essentially shutting down Marlborough's second half, showed a lot about St. John's and where they are. Again, I feel like they're getting overlooked a lot, which is weird to say about a St. John's team, because people are looking at Northbridge and Neshoba and Leominster and but they haven't lost to a Central Mass team yet this year.
Right. Tim
Cassidy's doing a great job at quarterback. They don't have like the Richard Rogers or Danny Leiter, one of those superstar, NFL
Flower
guys. Yeah, exactly. So, but they're still getting the job done. They're winning games, and like I said, what more can they have to do to prove it? I think having that game against Leominster, they come in and knock Leominster around. People look at them a lot more in a better light.
And what they have is they have a great line, too. Sean Reagan going to Boston College, next to him, 300-pounder. So this is an offensive line that can really move people. They do have, as you mentioned, they have some running backs that are good. They may not be superstar names, but they're very good. Cassidy running the ball is outstanding, and I do like the way they can run him, whether it's design quarterback draw, quarterback sweep, or just let everyone go downfield. If you like it, take off. If you don't, you got options. You can throw the football as well, because when he runs, he's a real punishing runner.
Exactly, and he makes teams. You can't play in the box on him because he can still hit the big pass if he needs to. And I think that's when St. John's have proven over the years that's when they're most dangerous. And they have one of those quarterbacks, a weapon kind of guy. You can't really lean too much in one way to sort of stop St. John's. They're going to make you burn it. They have a great core running back, so if he wants to hand it off to any one of them, Oliver or Ngongchu, they can get the job done.
Right. All right, so looking as you touched on, Marlborough's in the 4th spot right now in Division II, so big one coming up for Marlborough against Fitchburg. If they win, they're in.
Yeah.
But this is, you and I mentioned, it's a tough Fitchburg team. They've lost 2 in a row, but 3 weeks ago they looked really good in the first half when they put Sal Figueroa in there at quarterback in beating Shrewsbury. That was a tale of 2 halves. They won the first half. Shrewsbury won the second half. They won the game, a real close game. Shrewsbury missing a field goal at the very end to win it. But this is a Fitchburg team that we've seen be real good, and then at other times we've seen other teams kind of solve them or figure them out. So I think this is going to be a really good game.
Yeah, Fitchburg's tough to get a read on because you look at their losses. They lost to Brockton, but they were in that game. They had, Neshoba. They have a lot of games, but you don't look at that schedule and say, oh, geez, I wish they had that one back because that was a blowout game for them. They haven't gotten blown out. They are in every game. That's dangerous. I know Marlborough with that defense. I think Marlborough. It's not like they're taking them lightly. They know they're in for a battle with Fitchburg, and Fitchburg knows if they win that, they open the door for Algonquin and Wachusett, who are 5 and 6. They're knocking on the door. They need some help. And Wachusett, even though they're 6, they get the 2 points from the Algonquin win last week. They could jump into the mix too.
So it's interesting too that you have, and this one may be the tightest race of all the divisions, and the one that's most completely up for grabs. That you have a 6th seed right now, which is Wachusett, and a 5th seed, which is Algonquin, that certainly could jump in, and Wachusett theoretically could jump over, coming off a huge win over Algonquin last week. Peter Baird, their punter, calling his own number at the end, too, to run the clock out. 4th down, he's supposed to do a rugby-style punt. He sees a little alley on his sideline, takes off and makes it, and that's when the coaches are like, no, yes, what are you doing? But I love it. But you're looking at Algonquin, they're saying, okay, guys, we still have something. Right. We have to win. If we win, we take care of what we can take care of. We could be in the playoffs. Wachusett says the same thing. Right. Boys, we know what's at stake. First of all, it's St. Peter Marion, so it's going to be a rivalry game. There's going to be a little bit of smack talk back and forth in that game, so they're not going to need any extra incentive. But that playoff carrot is there that we have the potential, if we take care of our business, things certainly could go, as you and I mentioned. Fitchburg could win. Algonquin could certainly lose their game. Wachusett could leapfrog and get into the playoffs.
Exactly. That's what drives me nuts about this playoff system, among other things. But the whole, because I on record, I hate math. And this is one of those things where, okay, they win, they get the 10 points for the win, or the 2 points modifier, but then you're worried about what happens on other fields 30 miles away,
right.
Because even though Wachusett wins that game, they're worried about did Marlboro lose. Did Marlboro lose? Then you look at opponents that they might not have played. You look at uncommon opponents,
right? Because
they need to pick up points where Marlboro is not. Because even if Marlboro loses, they might still pick up 2 points from their 4 wins, and that might be enough to hold off Algonquin and Wachusett.
Yeah, it's scrambling. It's mind-numbing, if you will. Division 4. Take us through the 4 teams that are in right now, because this is another one that has teams on the bubble, 5 and 6. Certainly can believe, okay, if we win, we can easily jump into that mix.
I think this might be the tightest one. I mean, I know you said Division 2, but I think looking up top to bottom, Division 4, you got Doherty and Tantascwa, they're in no matter what.
Right.
I mean, they're 1 and 2. They're well ahead of the Grafton and Nipmuc. But the interesting thing about Grafton and Nipmuc, they play each other this Friday.
Right.
So Grafton's right now is 3 with 84 points. Nipmuc's 4 with 81. Obviously, Nipmuc leapfrogs Grafton, but if Grafton wins, Nipmuc's pretty much frozen because they only pick up 4 points from that loss, because Grafton, or 5 points rather, because Grafton will be 5 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to hold off Holy Name at 79 points, and even St. Peter Marion at 75. So
Right.
it'd be kind of interesting if Holy Name beats Gardner and St. Peter Marion beats Wachusett. That creates an interesting race.
Right.
I still think Holy Name, because they beat St. Peter Marion last week, they hold off St. Peter Marion. So if they win and Nipmuc loses, they might be able to jump in. And again, it goes back to the whole what's happening in other field things.
Right. So a lot of teams cheering in Division 4,
Right.
cheering for Grafton on Friday night.
Because especially when you
Holy
look
Name
at
and St. Peter's
right.
both cheering for they'll have their green out, but it's the green for Grafton.
Because you're looking at
Nipmuc.
Nipmuc, and they're picking up their wins. They're picking up against like BMRs and those teams which don't have much wins, so they're not going to get plenty of points on the other fields. Holy
Right.
Name, on the other hand, they might be able to pick up some points to overtake.
Mike Pucko, talk about the job he has done coaching this team this year, because it may be, record-wise, it won't stand as his best year, but it may be his best coaching job. Just with he does not, obviously every year he doesn't have a lot of numbers, but just looking at the schedule he's played, looking at the talent across the board versus other teams that he's played.
He talked about it last week in Division 5 column we run on the Telegram. I mean, it's because he doesn't know what team will show up every week. And for Mike, if you know him, he says that a lot about his teams because he's trying to, he doesn't know what he has every given
Right.
week. He's trying to figure out, okay, well now this opponent we should be able to roll, but you never know. So he was kind of look at a big game like St. Peter Marion, and in effect it knocked St. Peter Marion out of the playoffs.
Yes.
Right now they're chasing it. St. Peter Marion had a chance in a big game to make a statement. Win pretty much locks them up. They probably jump in a 3 spot, and then you're on a different path. Holy Name with Mensa came in with a big game, responded well, probably against a team where if you go position by position, even as banged up as St. Peter Marion is, they might not match up. They might have the edge.
Talent-wise, I would give the edge to St. Peter,
right,
certainly.
The line and some of the skill positions, even with Danny Malman for a quarterback, I think they look at, if you're doing it on paper, St. Peter Marion gets his win.
Physically bigger, stronger line.
But Holy Name came in, they showed a lot. And again, a big game with Mike Pucko on the sideline. I was silly for not thinking that would be a big asset for them.
Yeah, no, he's a phenomenal coach and has shown that year in and year out. Looking at Division 5, it's Northbridge and everyone else. But the everyone else part, let's get to that, because this one, same thing. I mean, it's got a couple teams that are thinking maybe if everything falls just right.
I think with Division 5, I think it's pretty much set as it is, because I think you have Uxbridge number 2. They have a huge game against St. Bernard's this weekend. Undefeated St. Bernard's, that would be a big one. But still, they don't think they can catch Northbridge. I mean, they're 20 points behind going into the game. Leicester's at 94 points in 3rd place, and Tingsboro's at 89 in 4th. And the problem is 5th is Clinton at 76. I don't know if the Clinton will have the wins if things happen. I don't know if they can leapfrog Tingsboro.
And the thing with there is, and this is the part that would stink, like say Tingsboro wins and Clinton beats Neshoba, so they knock off, the number 1 team in Central Mass, a team that's 2 divisions above them, and they still may not make the playoffs.
Well, let's say it's a 20-point win if they do that, because they get 12 points for playing up, and then 8 points or 14, 16 points for all their 14 points for their 7 wins.
Right.
So that's a pretty good carrot for if the old days come back and that rivalry's back and forth.
Yeah.
That's a big win.
And you and I were talking about that. That used to be, and it still is a really good rivalry, but that used to be awesome. I mean, flat out awesome. And for years, you know, people that are new to Central Mass football, for years it was Neshoba chasing Clinton. Clinton was the big dog on the block. They were the team that was in the top 5 every year, and Neshoba was trying to upset Clinton. This year, in the last couple of years, it's been Clinton trying to upset Neshoba. But this is a game, and I remember going back, way back to when I started, like 20 years ago, the hitting in this game is something I always remember. I always remember how hard these teams hit and how big of a game it was for both schools and the towns. It's a really nice rivalry.
They always had big lines back there, good talented running backs. So it's one of those things like the throwback games. I want them to play at Fuller Field just for old times.
Right, with the dim lights. Basically a couple headlights shining down on the field.
Parents, turn your cars on.
Here we go. We got 4 plays. They're going to go between the tackle, try to stop us. Division 6. Break this one down for us, and I know the West Boylston coaching staff and Mike Ross, he's not a mathematician, but he's probably been burning up your phone saying, buddy, what do I got to do? Jimmy, am I in, Jimmy?
They're tough. They're a tough team. We're in for a battle. He knows. The West Boylston's got Bartlett this weekend. You know, on paper, you look at that as you know, West Boylston, McCoubry, they should have the talent to get that win, and that will lock up the 3rd seed for them because you got Littleton and St. Bernard's 1 and 2, and I don't know if West Boylston, because if St. Bernard's loses to Uxbridge, they'll pick up 7 points for that loss.
Yeah, because they're playing up.
They're playing. I'm saying they get the 12 points for that, so the 7 points in the bonus, and then the 12 points for the win. So they could feasibly beat leapfrog St. Bernard's.
Right.
But I think they're definitely in. I don't want to have it take it easy because I know it's a tough game, and Bartlett would love nothing better. That's a season saver for Bartlett. They come in and they knock West Boylston around and get that win. It's a huge party.
Right. Exactly. You're not going into the playoffs. You still. But as you and I mentioned, the thing with these teams that may even be mathematically eliminated or teams that really are a long shot, you still have 4 games to play, 3 games to play after this week. So you're still playing. I mean, obviously you're playing with the pride, but you're still playing to get momentum and to finish this year out strong and on a winning streak and building and everything that you're playing for. Even though, you know, you've been told, okay, your season essentially is done, right? In the way that the playoff system is. Monty Tech, outside looking in, Valley Tech's got that 4th spot. If they win, they're in. They lock it up. Monty Tech though has an outside shot if things fall right.
They would look better if they got blown up by St. Bernard's last week. That's a tough one to come back from in terms of trying to reestablish themselves in the power rankings. They got Gansett this weekend. Again, on paper, that should be a good game for Monty Tech to sort of get back on track for it. But I don't think, especially since Monty Tech or Narragansett doesn't have many points in the bank. Right. I don't know if that's going to be enough to overtake, you know, get into the playoffs. But like I said, this is what the coaches are trying to deal with now. The whole how do they motivate these guys, which by saying basically, hey, after tonight, we're playing in the consolation games. So it's tough to sort of get. Do you build for next year, or do you sort of, you know, how do you sort of rally these guys to play teams you don't know who you're facing until Monday morning? Right,
and that I think is the toughest job with this whole system. It's the toughest job on these coaches. It's unique because no other coaches have to do it in any other sport. You know, basketball, hockey, lacrosse, baseball, they don't end their season 2-3 weeks early and tell the coaches and the kids, you're still going to play games. They just don't mean anything. And football is so unique anyway, with working all week long for that one game, and it stays with you if you lose, and it hurts so much worse to lose than it feels good to win. All right, out of time, unfortunately. Jim, thanks again. Next week, we'll be talking playoffs. And talking matchups.
Can't wait for it. It's already here.
Unbelievable. He's Jim Wilson. I'm Kevin Shea. We're back with more of the Frenzy Extra right after this.
The Holy Cross football Crusaders coming off a big-time win over Lafayette, 42-0. You may have seen it, hopefully, here on Charter TV 3. Brendan Flaherty, 4 touchdowns receiving. Peter Pujols, 6 touchdowns through the air. It was a personal best for a record-setting quarterback. And for Flaherty, his receptions per game mark now 2nd best in the entire nation. The Crusaders were amped after the big win.
It was a heartbreaker last week. You know, we're very focused in practice all week, and I think it's good that, you know, this will build our confidence a little bit more.
We had a strong effort last week, but not enough to come away with the win, and we just, you know, wanted to get that feeling of victory again, and so it was great to be able to come out here and stay on a roll, and hopefully we can continue it on. It's awesome when the offense gets things rolling. You know, it's a full team effort. The offensive line has done an unbelievable job blocking and protecting me. Along with the running backs, they have to do a lot of blocking, and they're doing a great job. We're able to break off some big runs that helped our passing game, and just having unbelievable athletes at receiver makes my job really easy. I'm just trying to get them the ball.
And when you have guys like
Peter throwing you the ball and the offensive line holding up and everyone doing their part. It really just says a lot about our team, and it's great to come out with the win today.
We got a lot of young guys stepping up. Richie DiNicola, he started today at outside receiver, and he's a great player. We got some other young guys that are ready to step in whenever we need it, and it's always the next man up, ready to get the job done. Defense has done a great job giving us the ball back. Some huge turnovers. They played great. That's all them. We try to do our job, and they do their job, and it's always great to have a big zero on the other team's score.
And now to this week, Coach Gilmore looking ahead to Bryant, an opponent he doesn't see very often. In fact, Holy Cross doesn't see very often. The first time they ever met was 2013, a loss by Holy Cross at Bryant. This is also a team who runs a formation offensively that Holy Cross will have to prepare for.
We see them on film against some common opponents every once in a while. They're a team that runs a two-back offense, a two-back pro-style offense, which we don't see a lot anymore. We've moved away from that about 10 years ago. We just weren't able to recruit that type of personnel consistently, so we had to go to more of a multiple type offense years ago. They've been very successful in recruiting the types of players they need to run the offense, and they've been running it for quite a while very successfully. So they're a team that's very confident in what they're doing, and they've consistently been doing some of these things for years, and they're very productive in what they do on offense and on defense.
It is the Bulldogs of Bryant coming to Fitton Field to take on Holy Cross. You can see the game on Cheddar TV3, channel 193 at 1 o'clock. WPI coming off a big win. The Engineers are 5-2 for the first time since 2008, and Coach Chris Robertson, he and his guys sense a good thing is coming right now. C-Rob says the program is building and building up.
Great team win for us against a good football team. I thought we really dominated the game in all three phases. We ran the ball, threw the ball efficiently. They didn't get past midfield against our defense until late in the game. And really, in all my years of being an assistant here and being a head coach here, was probably the most complete game that WPI football has played. I was really proud of a total team effort. When I took over the job here in 2010, and having been a head coach at a previous institution too, and there's reasons why you take over a program, and it's never because you just went undefeated. There's room for growth and there's room for improvement. And what we have seen over the past 5 to 6 years is a constant improvement of our football program. The quality of the young men that we have here, the number of wins. It's sometimes it takes too long. It's a growth process, but I'm happy that it's happening. St. Lawrence is #1 in our conference right now, the one undefeated conference team. And I think the great thing is, if you were to ask me how would we need to play, leading up to this game, we did that on Friday night. So we took a couple of steps forward. It's going to be a great football game. Last year at our place, came down to 2 big plays was the difference in the game for us. So we're going to work hard this week. We've got a great game plan in place. Guys are healthy.
The Becker College Hawks coming off a win over Mount Ida, a program the Hawks had never beaten before, and now Becker sits at 4-3, the 4 wins the most ever in program history. Coach Mike Lichten has his team going in the right direction, and right now he can see, and his guys can see, all the hard work starting to pay off.
This past weekend, Mount Ida, they're a tough physical team, but we were able to match their intensity and play a pretty tight physical game on our part, and we didn't make a lot of mental mistakes, which is always positive. But the kids came to play. It was a game we kind of circled on the schedule because we'd never gotten it done before, and we were looking for that 4th win, program record in wins, and we had an opportunity to play in front of our home crowd for the 3rd time this year, and we're undefeated at home right now, so that was a point of pride as well. We're more than halfway through the season right now, so we know what we have. Obviously the kids who are here grinding every day, it's been a test to them and a testament for what they've accomplished so far. We beat MIT, we beat Norwich on the road, then we beat 2 very good conference opponents, and we had some really tight games that we didn't get the win in. And the things I know about my team is that they are hungry to go places we've never gone before, and they're very anxious to make their mark and keep their stamp on this program as this being a year where things developed and changed.
To the Dean's List now, Brandon Miller, formerly of Wachusett, playing for UMass Dartmouth, 10 tackles and a sack against Mass Maritime. Obi Melifonwu, the former Grafton star, he's just a tackle machine for UConn now, 13 tackles and a loss to Cincinnati. Zach Grasses for WPI surpasses 2,500 career rushing yards for the Engineers with a 129-yard performance and a touchdown in a win over Merchant Marine. Chris Story, the former Uxbridge star, playing at Westfield State, 4 tackles, 2 pass breakups against Bridgewater State. James McGuigan out of Shepherd Hill, playing at Nichols, 5 tackles, including 1.5 tackles for a loss against Salve. And Noah Robinson out of Doherty, playing for undefeated Memphis, 2 tackles and a forced fumble against Tulsa. Well, that'll do it for another week of the Frenzy Extra from Fit and Field, where this week it is Bryant and Holy Cross. Sean Grady wants to call it the Blackstone Bowl. Let's get Ranger Chuck out here for this one. That is it for Frenzy Extra. We'll see you on Friday night first for the Frenzy.